Welcome back to the Digital Forge. 2 weeks ago, in part one of my conversation with Ashley Carson, we heard about his life, his career at the Assay Office, and his time in football with Sheffield Wednesday and Chesterfield. Today, we turn to a very different story, the Brinksmat robbery. November 26, 1983, the crime of the century, and Sheffield's unexpected role in it. So just after 6:40 a.m., 6 armed men in balaclavas stormed the Brinksmat warehouse near Heathrow Airport. Their inside man, security guard Anthony Black, led them straight to the vault. The gang expected £3 million in cash. Instead, they found more than 3 tons of gold bullion, nearly 7,000 bars, worth £26 million. That would be over £100 million today. The robbery was led by Brian Robinson and Micky McAvoy, with Black on the inside. Soon, Kenneth Noy, a fixer with deep criminal connections, and John Goldfinger Palmer, a jeweller and smelter, took control of the gold. The bullion was melted, disguised as scrap, and funneled through legitimate-looking channels. Some reports suggest that millions of pounds worth of gold went missing on its way north, never officially accounted for. And remarkably, some of that gold passed through the Sheffield Assay Office. Ashley, welcome back.
Thank you.
So, what were you doing in the 1980s when the Brinksmat heist took place? Where you were working at the Assay Office? I think you were staying in the Assay Office, weren't you, as well?
Yes, it was the early 80s, and I'd started at the Assay Office in 1977, and working my way through the business. There was live-in caretaker at the time, and she had, with her husband, she got pregnant, moved out, wanted to move out from the job there, and so the caretaker's position and the flat became available. So I was kind of, I guess I was ready for leaving home, and so I applied for the job as caretaker, and I got the job, and so moved into the Assay Office flat, which is at the top of the building, and it was a 2-bedroom apartment. It had got living area, small kitchen, nice living room right on the roof, and a bathroom. So it was very basic, really. But the deal was that I opened up in the morning, I locked up at night, responsible for the security of the building, and in return I got a small wage increase, but also the benefit was I'd got a flat in just off West Street. So in the city centre, so as a single lad in his early 20s, I got my own pad in the city centre. Yeah,
so for those that don't know Sheffield, West Street in the 1980s was sort of the liveliest place. It was where all the pubs were, where all the bars were, where people used to go out, nightclubs, all of that stuff. So you literally could just walk out of your front door and be right in the heart of it, couldn't you?
Yep. That was it.
What were the pubs back then? Where did you used to go?
Wow, there'd be the Stonehouse.
Yeah.
And then it was, the nightclubs. There'd have been the Josephines. There was Silks. Isabella's, yeah. All those kind of places that we used to go to. Cairo Jacks.
Oh God! Yeah, you had to sort of wipe your feet on your way out.
On your way out.
You? God, those.
Yeah, and the one that I never went to was the Whop and Take.
Oh,
that was kind of like a bit more of a hard rockers kind of place, but I didn't go there. But yeah, and it was only really 5 minutes walk as well up the street to Hanran's as well, which was the place to go.
Oh, that was the place. That was. So, presume you didn't have the mullet in the 80s? You didn't have the sort of Chris Waddle haircut, did you?
No, I didn't, but I had kind of the bleached blonde hair. I'd got the Don Johnson.
Miami Vice.
Miami Vice was my was my favourite series then. So I'd got that, and it was it was just kind of like probably 5 years later after that, we're starting to the XR3Is were coming out and things like that.
Now, I seem to remember you telling me a story about someone losing their car or car keys or something. Can you tell that story? Are you allowed to tell that story?
I think that was in the days of a former chairman, and I think I'd been out into Sheffield one night, and I'd met a girl, brought her back to my city centre apartment.
To your bachelor pad,
to my bachelor pad, and about 11 o'clock at night, there was a ring at the doorbell outside, and it was quite a big, loud bell as well. So, and I ended up going down, which was very unusual, and at that time of night, so I went down, opened the front door, and it was the chairman who was there, and we had a car park across the road. He'd been to an event at the Cutlers Hall, and come back and found that his car had been stolen off the car park. So he wanted to come in, but there was no mobile phones then or anything, so could he use the phone at the Assay Office to phone the police? So I've got the girl sat there with a glass of wine, and so the chairman came in and sat down till the police came, and then the girl left. I think she thought that's it for tonight, so she left. The chairman was there, and we later found out that he'd had a problem with the lock on his car door, so he decided that he'd left his key in the ignition, so he didn't have to lock the car. They wondered why his car had got stolen.
He left the keys in the ignition?
In the ignition, and his car had gone.
So what did the police do?
They took him home.
Which actually shows you what policing was, the sophistication of policing back then, wasn't it? Did they ever find his car?
I don't know. I can't remember.
So, at the time...
I don't think I ever saw the girl again either, actually.
So at the time, and you still do this now, because thank you for the tour earlier, and you can see the video on YouTube of us doing a tour around the Assay Office. You do process scrap metals and process them, don't you? Just describe how that process works, and I think you've got an example.
So it's probably the first kind of like added value service that we offer to customers, and it does go back many years, and that process is to melt scrap metal down for customers, very small amounts at the time, I think, and we would then issue a certificate, because if you're buying an item that is 9 carat gold or 18 carat gold or silver, and you look at the hallmark, you've got you know the purity of the metal, and you've got it on there. But if you're melting a lot of unknowns down, then you don't know what the purity of the metal is, then you have to send it somewhere to get it tested, and one of those places would be the Assay Office. So you'd send it in to us, and it could be actually melted down by us, or you can actually bring a bar into us that you've melted yourself, and we'll do the assaying on that. So yeah, it was quite a new service to us, I think, at the time that was going on in the building.
So you get people scrap jewellery and gold rings and earrings and bracelets and all of that, and goodness, actually teeth, you were saying earlier, and you melt it down.
Yep, even teeth. The price of gold now is such that it's so high that everybody's looking to sell absolutely anything that they can. But yeah, everything. And people these days are looking everything in the top drawer that they don't wear anymore. They decide we'll go and sell it because it's worth so much money. And
you've got an example there, don't you, Ashley, on your chair? Just describe what that is.
So that's a bar of it's 1 kilo bar of fine gold. It's actually got a Sheffield Assay Office hallmark on it with a 999 for 999 parts per thousand. So in effect, it's pure gold. And this bar, when it was produced, was 1 kilo. It was worth £24,000, and this bar on today's fix is worth £89,000.
Wow.
That's how much it's increased in value for exactly the same bar of gold.
Wow.
I wish I owned it.
So, do you remember? We all heard about the Brinksmat gold robbery. Do you remember hearing about it?
I do vaguely remember hearing about it, but you have to roll back 40 years. Nobody had mobile phones. There was no internet. I'm not even sure if there was 4 channels on the TV in those days, or whether it was just 3 channels. So you read what was maybe in the Telegraph or the Star newspaper, but things greatly changed since those days.
So the gang have stolen 7,000 bars of gold. Now, if you want to sell, why couldn't they just go out on the street and just sell them, or go to various outlets and sell them? Why couldn't they do that?
So first of all, I think that the bars that were stolen were not this size; they were much larger bars.
How much bigger? How much more larger than that?
This is 1 kilo. The standard bullion bars are 12.5 kilos, so substantially bigger than these. But with any of these kind of bars, and wherever they come from, whether they come from the Royal Mint or Johnson Matthey in those days, or Cookson's, all the bullion dealers out there, they'll all be stamped up. Even the bars that come from abroad, they all have their own unique stamp on them, serial numbers, bar references, and it's pure gold. So all of a sudden, when you've got the Brinksmat and you're faced with all this gold, every one of those bars has got serial numbers on. They've got, in effect, they've got a unique fingerprint on that bar of gold.
Okay.
So that becomes an immediate problem to you. Every single bar is traceable.
So basically, they've got 7,000 of these things that are worth. What would that gold bar be worth now? Just for perspective, what would a 12.5 kilo bar of gold be worth, roughly?
Now?
Yeah, in today's money, in today's value for that bar of gold.
You put me on the spot now with my maths. So it's 12,500 times. It's over 1.2 million.
Wow.
A bar, which is where you get your kind of 100 million for the whole highs.
Wow. So you've got this. It's worth a fortune. So what do they need to do so that they can sell it?
I think, and a lot of this is from when I've actually watched all the various documentaries and programs on this, and they got the problem they got was every one of those bars was identifiable, so they needed to adulterate it, change its format to try and lose its identity. So the only way to do that would be to melt it down and dilute the gold. So they would put base metals in with the pure gold, mix it up, and basically make a different cake out of it.
When you say base metals, mix it up, what were they putting in there?
I mean, you could adulterate it with anything, but you really wanted something that would melt quick, so would have pretty much a lower melting point. So copper, you could melt really quickly with copper. Copper, you can get that from like copper piping, and also base metal coins. So anything like the pennies and
2p pieces.
Yeah, all that sort of thing. You could throw all that in as well. So any old coins, anything you could get your hands on, throw that in the melt as well. And you don't lose your gold. It just is different. So instead of, if you had a 1 kilo of fine gold and you added a load of base metal to it, it might be 50%, but you'd end up with 2 kilos of 50% rather than 1 kilo of 100%. So you don't lose anything, you just totally change it. And of course, once you get to the stage where you've got a bar which is only 50 or 60% gold, it's not fine gold anymore. It's totally untraceable. So you can't trace back from that to the original fine gold. So that's what they needed to do. And that was the advice that that John Palmer had given them. You've got to get this melted down. The one thing that they didn't want to happen was any of the original bars being found, because that would trace them back to the original.
You know the kind of conversations we have here, honest, ambitious and focused on what's really shaping the future of UK industry. Now, imagine taking them even further. That's exactly what the Digital Forge membership is about. This isn't just another network, it's a proving ground where connection, knowledge and opportunity collide. As a member, you'll unlock exclusive events and curated networking with serious builders, a private community platform for real-time support, and a content and knowledge hub packed with insights you won't find anywhere else. Plus, you'll gain access to exclusive discounts and the chance to learn directly from mentors and seasoned founders who've already walked the path. Everything we do is built on trust, clarity and intent. No noise, no theatre, just the right conditions for progress. So if you're ready to join the future of UK industry and step into a community built to accelerate growth, join other members at forgedforgrowth.com.
So they've stolen the gold, and they found John Palmer, aka Goldfinger, who he had the ability to.
So he was he a jeweller or he was a bullion dealer? He was a trader. So he was just a trader in jewellery and buying scrap. Again, it's been going around for many, many years, buying scrap gold. So he was just buying gold in off people. So he'd got a legitimate business, buying gold in, melting it down and selling it on.
So how did they first, and why did they come to the Sheffield Assay Office? Was this the closest one, or was it?
So what happened? In John Palmer's back garden, he ended up with called a smelter, but it's a furnace, a melting furnace. So he was getting the bars, the stolen bars, mixing it with copper, with coins, with anything that he could to disguise the gold. But then you have a bar which is totally unknown. I'm guessing there was no science to it, so they were just throwing anything in. So they would end up with a situation where they didn't know the purity of the bar. So they would have to have it tested again to find out what the purity was. So I think they probably didn't want to go to Birmingham, because you've got the Birmingham Jewellery Quarter on the doorstep as well. Would they want to go into London? Probably not. They want to keep away from anywhere near there. I don't even think Edinburgh would offer those services. So with a bit of research, Sheffield Assay Office, a bit out of the way, but we'd have to get the bars up to Sheffield. But let's use them, and let's take our bars to Sheffield, and in effect get them legitimised by getting them assayed and getting a report from Sheffield. Then we can move it on.
So at the time, you're the caretaker, and you used to probably open the gates for customers to come in. Presumably, you were letting John Palmer and his bars of gold through the gates. So presumably, you saw him the first time he arrived.
Yeah, 7:30 in the morning. I used to go downstairs. I would take the alarms off, outside, unlock the doors, unlock the customer counter, unlock all the staff entrances, and unlock the gates as well. So we had a car park at the back, gates at the bottom, gates at the top, and unlock everything in the morning with the padlocks and everything. And those days as well, the Assay Office, we didn't even have any CCTV. So, that's kind of where you were in those days. There was no internet and CCTV that you can have a look on your phone these days to see what's happened. There was no Ring doorbells. And so very often, when I would open the gates, there'd be a white transit van outside waiting to come in. But it was there before we'd even opened for business. But they were in the car park, waiting for us to open to bring these bars in.
And how much gold were they bringing at a time?
They were probably bringing like half a dozen to 12 bars at a time coming in. And John Palmer had registered with the office. Every customer has to register, whether it was for a bullion account or hallmarking account. And his trading company was Scadlin, and they were based in Bristol. So he was registered with us, completed all the forms, and so he was a registered customer. So started to bring the bars up, and there was also other people. I'm not sure who they all were, but it was not always John Palmer coming up, but there was other people as well. And it was basically on a day-to-day basis. These bars were coming up. They must have been setting off at kind of 4 o'clock in the morning, so they're probably melting the stuff, putting it in the vans, and then getting it up to Sheffield, ready for opening. They would leave them here and then for testing.
I mean, this is a substantial amount of gold that these guys have got. And, you know, the question, I know you were not the assay master at the time, you were the caretaker, for perspective. But did anybody say, where's it from?
No. I think, you look back in the benefit of hindsight with all of this and say, at a time when you've got the largest bullion robbery that's ever happened, and then all of a sudden you get a customer in Sheffield that in effect becomes one of your largest customers, with Scadlin, in terms of bringing gold in for testing. Maybe we should have put 2 and 2 together, but that never happened.
Were there any questions? Did anybody ever say?
I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. You were young. You were the caretaker. You were just letting them in through the gates with 20 bars of gold a day.
There was no social media. There was no money laundering regulations. There's a lot of regulations came in after this case where you did have to kind of like have a bit more due diligence in terms of...
I mean, it could never happen now, could it?
No, not at all. No. You'd know about these things, and you have regular dealings with the authorities with things as well. So something like this from a criminal world would be highlighted or would raise a lot more concerns if it happened today, but it didn't. So the work came in. I believe that Sheffield Assay Office being so good and attention to detail, there were some bars that came into us that they'd melted them so badly there was coins sticking out of them.
You're kidding me?
They were so bad. So what did we do? We remelted them. You've not made a very good job of this, mate. We'll melt it properly for you.
Because looking at that bar that you've made here at the Assay Office,
it's a beautiful bar.
It's all smooth,
work of art.
What were theirs like? Were they rough and
really
2 pence pieces hanging out the side?
50%. It's not. It's looking pretty bad. If you'd have probably left it outside on the wall outside, it'd probably still be there a week later. It certainly didn't look like gold.
Wow.
It would look very, very, just like poor. Maybe you just wouldn't pick it up.
I mean, 7,000 bars of 12 kilo gold is a substantial part of the world's gold supply, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, it's a massive amount of gold and worth, so much money.
I think, in fair, it didn't all come through here. I don't know what happened to it, whether they found other ways to get rid of it as well. So it didn't all come through here. They had a system, and in the early days it was coming here every single day. But then external things happen, and people were getting caught, people were getting tailed, they were getting followed. They had to change things. So not everything came in here. The whole thing, I don't know whether some of it ended up overseas. Then they were moving it out of the country, and there was all sorts happening. But certainly in the early days, there was a lot of it came in here. It's been well documented. One of the documentaries, they came here, and wanted to talk about it and, have a look at the way that the certificates would have been done. And, we had a little crest that we put on all the bars. So we'd still got the crests here as well that we struck on the bars at the time.
Wow.
So it's a bit of history. Do you feel ashamed about it, embarrassed about it? But, you've got to put it in context with what happened in all those years ago.
So there was a story that on the way up here, the robbers got robbed. Is that true?
I believe it is, yeah. There was, I think it was before they got to Birmingham somewhere, and they had some of the robbers had been following them or noticing this van going up and down, so it actually got hijacked on an occasion. So that particular shipment got robbed.
And did they report it to the police?
Probably not.
So you got how much gold? And what would the value of that gold be in a typical shipment? A few million?
I would think so. Yeah.
Never reported it.
No.
Absolutely fascinating.
Keep their heads down. I'm pretty sure with it. But yeah, I mean, there was all sorts. There was some of it. The van would break down. These vans were doing some serious mileage up and down, and again, reliability of vans in those days was not what it's like today. So there was all sorts of stress factors, I'm guessing, at the time going into their operation.
So the Assay Office, obviously, you were not in, the Assay Office itself was just testing gold for these, and as you said, it was in the days before the internet, before communications, online news, all of this stuff. So people just didn't put two and two together. What did the court say about the Assay Office, and what was? I mean, you said that there was legislative change after this. What was the effect of it?
I think it became apparent that there was nothing in place with anybody to actually basically grass anybody up or suggest anything. I think it was like it with the banks as well. There was huge amounts of money, millions going into the banks, and again, nobody ever raised awareness with that. It was just the norm that people were going in and drawing large amounts of cash out, putting large amounts of cash in, and you couldn't do that these days either. The money laundering regulations is so tight these days with things. So yeah, it was very different. But at the time of the Old Bailey, one of the cases, one of the judges, and it's been documented that they did say, Sheffield Assay Office, it would have probably been a lot easier if they'd have actually mentioned it to the authorities, but that never happened. So we were just doing our job.
Yeah, I've heard it reported that there are thoughts that so much of the new gold in circulation today has got traces of the Brinks matte gold in it at some level, because there was that much of it. It's just an incredible story. And
yeah.
But it's also worth remembering that these guys were really hardened criminals. I mean, Kenneth Noy stabbed the undercover policeman John Fordham in 1985. Palmer was smelting in his back garden, and he got stabbed as well. He got shot or stabbed, didn't he? Died that way.
He got shot.
Yeah.
Sniper from behind the fence.
Jeez.
Because the kind of one of the stories behind that was that John Palmer was actually dyslexic, I believe, and he used to record all his meetings on a little recorder. So, like in those days, they had like the little Phillips pocket memos, and there's all the little tapes. So when he had meetings with people, he used to record it, and he used to store all the cassettes in the Hatton Garden safes, in the safety deposit boxes. And when the in more recent times, when the safety deposit boxes were raided in the Hatton Garden safe raid, they found all the cassettes, And it was something like 6 weeks after they were found that he was shot, because they didn't know where they all were. And when they got them back, because it was evidence for a hell of a lot of people. But once those were taken out of that Hatton Garden safe, deposit boxes, that's when he got shot. It's great stories. Whether it's true or not, I don't know, but it's really it's fascinating.
I've got to say, Ashley, I mean, it's subsequently and in recent times become folklore. It's one of the largest ever robberies of anything anywhere in the world. And how does it feel to actually have been in some way not involved in the robbery, obviously, but involved in this story? Because I know you've advised on documentaries like The Gold, etc., for the BBC. Just talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it just makes it a little bit more fascinating, and it's kind of it makes it a little bit more real as well when you actually think and you read about it, and it mentions Sheffield Assay Office, that it really does kind of like it. It's a major reality check, I guess, that a lot of that passed through here without us really knowing. It's crazy.
I just think that the story about that your guys, the guys back then, looked at the bar of gold and said, "Hang on a minute, there's a 2p, but you've not smelted this very well. Let us improve it for you. Let us do it for you." It's just an astonishing story. So that was my conversation with Ashley Carson, Assay Master of Sheffield Assay Office, from his remarkable life story to Sheffield's unexpected role in the Brinks-Mat saga. Ashley's journey is a reminder that even the biggest global events can leave their mark right here in our city. Ashley, thank you so much for those memories. And to our listeners, thank you for joining the Digital Forge podcast. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode.